Good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Swaha, Tat Savitrvarenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Asto ma sadgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityorma amritam gamya. Om Sahnavavtu Sahnabhnaktu Saviryam Karvavahi Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti 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 Om. Let's open our books. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. This is the third section. And we are learning about this summon, how important this summon is, and what really transpires there. So, verse number 20. एष उ एव बृहस्पति वाग्वै बृहति तस्या एषपति तस्मादु बृहस्पति. This itself is again Brihaspati. Speech verily is a Brihati. And the vital force is the Lord of speech. So this is the prana he's talking about. Therefore, this is again Brihaspati. So he's talking about prana. This prana, which is the self of the body and the organs. Organs cannot function without prana. We saw that. So it itself is Brihaspati, which represents all this. And who is this Brihaspati? So this Rishi is saying that he is the self of all forms of knowledge, sound. For example, the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda. He is the self of the speech. And again, speech is a Brihati because it is already included in the Brihati. Brihati is it's a Vedic meter. See, just like a Gayatri is a Vedic meter, Brihati. So Brihati is mentioned in the Shrutis. So Shrutis are sung by Brihati meter. And it's well known according to the vital force also. So the Lord of Brihati, the controller and the Lord of life is Brihaspati. So without him, nobody can utter even a single word, a single sound. So he is emphasizing through all this that the vital force or the prana is the Brihaspati, the life of all forms of knowledge as well as sounds. Then in the next verse he says, Eshah u ev brahmanspati, vagvai brahma, tasya eshpati, tasmadu brahmanpati. This itself is also the Lord of Brahma. Speech is verily Brahma, and the vital force is its Lord. Therefore, this is again the Lord of Brahma. So this prana itself is again Brahmanspati. So speech indeed is Brahman. So this prana is its Lord. Therefore, again, it's called Brahmanaspati. So this is just again and again, he's talking about the prana, which is the self of the body, organs, and lord of the controller of the form and the speech. Yaju is a kind of speech, and the lord of the controller of Yajus or the Brahman is a Brahmanspati. Without him, no form of speech, such as Yajus, can proceed or come to exist. And we are all familiar with that. Just as without essence, limbs cannot live. In the same way, without the vital force, no form of knowledge and speech can exist. Organs of the body or the Rig of the Rig Veda and the Brahmans of the Yajur Veda, they're all different fields of manifestations and operation of the vital force, which is called Pran. Now, next verse is little longer verse, verse number 22. Eshaha u ev samaha vagvaisa ameshaha sa chameshiti tat manha samatvam yad ev samaplushinaha samo mashken mayo nagen sam ebhin bhilokehe samo anen sarven tasmad ev samaha ashnutehe samnaha Sayujyam saloktamya evam etat sam veda. This itself is again saman. Samans are the verses of the Sam Veda. Verily, speech is sa, and the vital force is ama. So that's how it's broken down, the Sam. It is called saman because it is sa, the speech, and the ama, the vital force. Or else the vital force is saman just because it is equal to the size of a white ant, equal to a mosquito, equal to an elephant, equal to these three worlds, equal to this universe. So that means even in the smallest and the smallest of the particle, and even the biggest of the biggest, there's a prana. He who knows the saman, the vital force, attains identity with the saman or residence in the same world with it. So this is verse number 22. And vital force or the pran is further explained here. What is it? What is its form? How it, any form at all? The vital force for whom we have talked so far and so much is again Sam, he says. The word Sam is made up of two parts. So it's a compound word, even though it looks like a small word, but it's a compound. Sa and ama, Sam, meaning speech and vital force. It means that vital force is the central essence of Sam. Without vital force, the pran, no hymn of a psalm can be uttered. Or it is because this vital force is equal to the size of a ant, mosquito, elephant, these three worlds, this whole universe. This is psalm. This signifies the all-providing nature of the pran. Okay, so this is how we should understand it, all pervading. It can acquire the shape of the body it inherits. So that means in our body also, prana is everywhere. The vital force throbs in an ant also. So over there, it is the same size or same vital force which sustains the life of a big elephant. So whether it's a small ant or a big elephant, prana's nature is eminent, smallest as well as biggest, and it throbs in all, right from Hiranyagarbha to the smallest creation. It has also infinite forms. So the conclusion of this mantra is that the vital force which resides in the cavity of the mouth is the life of the body of organs, is the Lord of all forms of knowledge, speech and sound, and is of infinite forms. This is the message the Rishi is trying to convey to us. And the wonderful knower of the psalm obtains intimate union with the psalm as vital force and also resides there. He becomes identical with the vital force. Identical. And this is what this sayuchyam, saloktam, these words mean. He becomes identical with the vital force by the rising above the life of sense experience and also sense perceptions. So when it identifies with the vital force, the false attachments and the lower impulses are easily and successfully eradicated. No evil force can stand in combat with this great power. Identification with such a great power and attaining this intimate union with it will end all the sufferings, all sorrows, all miseries, which really gets produced from the false attachment with the sense objects. So this is he is trying to tell us that how powerful this prana shakti is. First, try to get in touch with your own prana shakti. Then you will know the universal prana shakti also. Verse number 23. Eshaha uvaha uditha prano va ut pranen idam sarvam utbadam vagev gita uch gita cha etis udgita. The vital force again is indeed the udgita. You remember the title of this section is Udgit. So Udgit, a division of the Saman. The vital force is verily Ud, that means support, for this universe is upheld by the vital force. And speech itself is Git, a variety of sound. Because it is Ud and Gita, therefore it is the Udgit. So in this mantra, the same vital force, he says, it is the Udgita. And he, again, this breaks down this word Udgit also, Ud and Git, holding up and speech. So Ud means holding up, Git means speech. And holding up really means over here that it has a special characteristics, this vital force. And it's like it depends upon it. The sound depends upon it, or the speech depends upon it, this prana. Okay, so this udgit. So he's trying to explain that this word itself, that your git or any kind of a speech is held by the prana shakti. It cannot stand without it. It is supporting it all the time. Ud. Then verse number 24. Tadapihi Brahmadat Shekitanyo Rajanam Bhakshayan Uvach Ayam Teyasya Raja Murdhanam Vishatyatat Yadito Ayasya Angirasoho Anyen Gayaditihi Vachaha cha eva sapranena cha ud gayaditi iti. On this subject, there is also this story. Brahmadatta, a great grandson of Chikitan, while drinking the som juice, said, "Let this som juice knock off my head if I say that Ayasya Angiras sang hymns through any deity other than this vital force combined with speech." Indeed, he sang hymns through speech and the vital force alone. So this is verse number 24. So speech and the prana, they are being correlated. And then with the help of this story over here, and that is very typical of our scriptures, always bring us some part of the story from other scriptures also to make a point. So he says, once upon a time, the Brahmadatta, who was also the great grandson of Chikitan, while drinking the celebrated som juice, said, "Let the som strike off my head if I say that Ayasya Angiras chanted the Udgit through any other than this vital force and speech." That means gave importance to anything other than the Pran Shakti. I should be knocked down. That means I should be defeated. This clearly goes to establish that Udgit was chanted through speech and vital force only and through no other organ of the body. Okay, and this is he's just giving it a reference over here to this certain story from other scriptures. Now, verse number 25. Tasye है तस्य है सामनो य स्वम वेद भवति हास्य स्वम तस्य विस्वर एव स्वम तस्मात् ऋत्वज्यम करिष्ये वाचिः स्वरम इच्छेत तया वाचः स्वर संपन्न अर्थविजयम कुर्यात् तस्मायज्ञः स्वरवन्तं दीक्षन्त एव अथो यस्य स्वं भवति भवति हास्य स्वम य एवं एत सामनः swam ved. He who knows the wealth of this summon indeed obtains wealth. And summon over here means the prana. Sweet tone is verily its wealth. Therefore, one who will do the duty of a priest should desire to have a sweet tone in his voice. He should perform his priestly function through that voice enriched with a sweet tone. Therefore, in a sacrifice means the yajna, People do look for a priest having a sweet tone, as also one who has wealth. He who thus knows this wealth of the summon indeed attains wealth. Okay, and we are not talking about the material wealth. It's the knowledge. That is the real wealth. Or the character, the behavior. See, which we call it achar vichar. So verse number 25. He who knows the wealth of that Samman, who knows the wealth of that pran described above, becomes wealthy indeed. And for a priest, it is a sweet tone, he says, because Udgit was jointly chanted by speech and vital force. A person who is desirous of becoming a priest must cultivate a musical tone. It is only then he could discharge or perform the duties of a priest. Because people always search who can chant the mantras. So one who has the wealth of sweet tone is indeed wealthy, and such a priest is sought for to perform all the religious rites. So it's not only the speech, the sweetness in the speech, but this wealth is this the rest of the character also. The sattvikta. The sweetness really means sattvikta also. A sattvic nature. A person who lives a life sattvically. We want that kind of a priest to do our rituals. So not just only the speech should be sweet, but the personality has to be sweet too. Eager to perform yajnas. So the knower of this summon and its wealth, he says, becomes wealthy. Okay, so it just keeps on growing these qualities. There's two more verses left. Let's finish this section today. Verse number 26. Tasye hetasye samnoha yasuvarna ved bhavati hasye suvarnam tasye veswar ev suvarnam bhavati hasye suvarnam ya evam et samanaha suvarnam ved. He who knows what is gold, see, suvaran means gold. He who knows what is the gold of this saman verily attains gold. Correct articulation is indeed its gold. He who thus knows this gold of the saman verily attains gold. So in this mantra, this rishi is emphasizing definitely the correct pronunciation. The priest may have a musical tone, but his pronunciation may be defective. So this mantra puts emphasis on this, the correct pronunciation of this summon, one comes to have gold, the precious jewel or the metal. The previous reference was made to sweetness of the voice, and over here the emphasis on the correct articulation in accordance with the rules of the phonetics. Because our Vedic seers, they paid lot of attention, lot of emphasis, where to emphasize in each mantra. So the good tone is gold, and who knows the correct sound of someone obtains gold. Okay. So let's look at the last verse, verse number 20. not the last one. I think there are two more. Yeah, 28 is the last one. So 27. तस्य हतस्य सामनः य प्रतिष्ठाम वेद प्रति ह तिष्ठति तस्य वैवागेव प्रतिष्ठः वाची हि खल्वेश एतत् प्राणः प्रतिष्ठितो गीयते अन इत्यु हेक आहु. He who knows the sport of this summon verily obtains his sport. Speech indeed is its support. For resting on speech alone is the vital force, thus transformed into a chant. Some maintain resting on food because it becomes a chant. So that's what this unword is over here. So in this mantra, the emphasis is laid upon, again, the prana also. And what is this summon? So he says it is the same prana which is supported by speech. Speech alone can express it. But for speech, Pran cannot sing. What is speech? It is the power of self-expression. So speech is verily the seat of the Pran. So this is what he is talking about, the seat. For Pran expresses itself through the medium of speech in the form of knowledge. See, that's how we know a person has this kind of a knowledge. So knowledge, speech, and Pran, they're all connected. And there's another view also that Pran rests on food. The body, which is a product of food. Isn't this body called physical body Anmay Kosh? It's a product of the food. So that view is also correct. So the prans do reside in the body because the body is there, the vital force manifests itself through it. Otherwise, it would not have been able to express. For expression requires a medium. So just like a person can be very knowledgeable, but a person cannot speak, cannot express, can be very knowledgeable, but it's no good to us. That's why in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, Guru should not only be realized, Guru should have the knowledge, and Guru should be able to convey that knowledge to us too. So that's why from time to time this language changes so that Gurus can explain this. All these Vedic mantras, they are written in very difficult Sanskrit, not a modern Sanskrit. But then Bhagavad Gita came, all those darshans came in a little simpler Sanskrit. So those teachers, they could explain it to us in the language which we speak. Valmiki ji wrote Ramayana in Sanskrit. Then same Ramayana, Tulsidas ji wrote it in Ramcharitmanas. And then later on also other teachers, gurus, for the benefit of their students wrote it. So the knowledge, the speech. But then in order to utter the speech, we need the prana. Only then, and the sweetness in the prana, and the sweetness in the personality also. And the sweetness of the personality is where there's no ego. So all of this, just look at the link between all these qualifications. Now let's look at the last verse of this section. Look at the size of this mantra. But can you imagine the remembering power, the memories of our Rishi Munis? They memorized all this. These mantras, which are hard for us to even read in one breath, they memorized it. Because written form of this came way later. Let's try to understand this also. And part of it, you will see that you are familiar with it. That's how it was broken down. Part of it came out, and we sing it every day. Athataha pavmana नाम एव अभ्यरोहा स वे खलु प्रस्तोतः साम प्रस्तोते स यत्र प्रस्तुयः उदितानि जपेत अस्तोम सद्गम्य तमसोम ज्योतिर्गम्य मृत्युर्म अमृतं गम्येति स यदा हास्तो मा सद्गम्येति मृत्युः असत् सद अमृतं मृत्यो अमृतं गम्ये अमृतं मा कुर्विते हेवताय तमसो महा ज्योतिर्गम्येति मृत्यु वह तमः ज्योतिरमृतं मृत्योः अमृतं गम्य अमृतं मा कुर्वित्येह ददाय मृत्युम अमृतं गम्येति न अत्र तिरोहति विवासति अथ यानि तरानि स्तोत्रानि तेषु वातमने अन्नः दमज्ञायेत तस्मादुतेषु वरम वृणीत यम कामम काम्येत तमः स एष एवं विदु दात्मने व यजमानय व यम कामम काम्यते तमागायते तद्वैत लोकजिदेव न हेवाहे लोक्यताया आशासस्ति य एवं एतम सामवेद इति तृतीयम ब्राह्मण. Now, therefore, the elevating utterance of only the Pavaman hymns is being enjoined. So, with the next sentence, the translation starts. Verily, it is the priest called Prastor who chants the sermon. So, there were categories of the priests also, and there were names of each, like a title of each priest also. So, when he chants it, the sacrificer should mutter these three Yajus mantras. Take me from evil to good. Take me from darkness to light. Take me from death to immortality. And that's what I said. You are familiar with these utterances. When the mantra says, take me from evil to good, verily evil is death and the good is immortality, amritam. So it only says, take me from death to immortality. That is, make me immortal. In this mantra, take me from darkness to light. Verily, darkness is death and light is immortality, jyoti. So it is only says, take me from death to immortality. That is, take me immortal. In the mantra, take me from death to immortality, the meaning is not hidden as in the other cases. Then as to the other 9 hymns, the chanter should obtain eatable food for himself by singing them. When these are sang, the sacrificer should ask for any boon that he wants. The reason being that whatever object the chanter endowed with such knowledge desires for himself or for the sacrificer, he attains by singing. This very meditation on the vital force does enable one to win the world of Hiranyagaram. He who meditates thus upon this summon vital force has never to pray lest he be unfit for the world of Hiranya Garabha. So how do we understand this? Because we have dealt elaborately with the process of purification. Because when we do the yajna, we look at the place. It has to be pure. And the importance of the vital force this Rishi has been talking about and giving us a scheme of the self-evolution. And he says, meditate upon the elevating utterance of the hymns. And the repetition of this mantra is known as Abhyaroha, which means ascension to a divine state, like evolving yourself to the higher places. These mantras are soul elevating mantras. They inspire and purify the chanter as well as the hearer. These mantras, they lift us up beyond the realms of darkness, death and ignorance. This is what is mentioned over here. Because we are praying for goodness, light and immortality. And what is immortal in us? Body, no matter how much we take care of it, it's not immortal. Only the soul is. So when we identify ourselves with that part which is immortal, that's how we purify ourselves. So aim is constantly on the immortality. So it's not that body can live forever. We know the truth. Anything which is born will definitely die. Body was born, it will die. But Atma was never born. It is and it will be. Always. That is immortal. So real aim is at the immortality alone. Because it says in this mantra that goodness is immortality. And light also means immortality. So when a person sings, take me to goodness and light, that person means make me immortal, because immortality is goodness and light. The simple form which we recite, Asto ma satgamya, Tamso ma jyotirgamya. Every day we recite Mrityur ma amritam gamya. It has come from this verse. Evil is death because it kills. The self in man, when it's succumbed to all evil tendencies, when it's engrossed into the unpardonable prohibited actions, our scriptures say that person is no better than dead. When we do the vikaram, prohibited actions, and those actions could be physical actions, verbal actions, or even in our thoughts, we are better than dead. It has already been said that sense identification is evil, and it's a death. Immortality transcends death. So that's why our rishis, they said, you should sought for immortality. Look for that. Aim for that. That is your goal of life. So the hymn, lead me from evil to goodness, means make me immortal by freeing me from the clutches of evil. The same way, darkness is also death. Darkness really means the ignorance of the divine. When we forget that who we are in the darkness. Avidya, which our Rishi said. And this avidya, how does it get born? The birth of the avidya is from tamas. That's why tamaso ma jyotirgamya. Take me away from the tamsikta. Take me away from the darkness. Because it binds. It binds the individual soul to the ever re-occurring birth and death. It's like a cycle we've been going through countless times. So darkness obstructs the vision. Our vision is searching for immortality, but this darkness is stopping it. Tamsikta is stopping it. Just as a light must be brought to dispel darkness, to destroy the ignorance, knowledge is to be sought for. If there's a darkness in the room, what do? We look for a switch to turn the light on. And if there's no electricity, what do? We look for a candle or a torch, flashlight. The same thing for our darkness, our avidya, we look for the knowledge. When the darkness of ignorance is dispelled, the individual soul is no more subjected to the recurrence of birth and death, they say. So that's why in this hymn, lead me from darkness to light, means make me immortal by dispelling the ignorance, which is the cause of death in the form of this sansar. They even call it a sansar chakra. It's a cycle. So evil, ignorance, and death mean more or less the same thing for this kind of a understanding. In the same way, the goodness, light, and immortality stand for the same state of freedom. Freedom from evil, freedom from ignorance, freedom from death. Immortality is what we are looking for. That is our ultimate goal. That's why they call it a state of deathlessness. It's an individual soul at once in communion with the Supreme. Supreme is a deathless, and that part of us, our essence, becomes deathless when we become one with Him. And that's called yoga. That's called yukta. That's called liberation. Lead me from death to immortality. We are praying for a total cessation of all attachments, false identifications. This immortality cannot be achieved unless a person is free from the lower impulses of lust and other demonic qualities. Got to remember that. It's almost like if we got to blow off this devil, only then the divinity will be restored. So that means all the evils We got to learn how to transcend them to establish the purity. Otherwise, we are just fooling ourselves. So, as a sadhak, we have to acquire supreme goodness, walk in the light of knowledge, and become immortal. This is what these rishis are guiding us for. And then over here in this verse, it's talking about the boon also. Let the sacrificer ask for a boon. Because whatever object the chanter who knows this either desires for himself or for the sacrificer, like a person who is arranging that yajna, he secures for singing these hymns and meditating on them. So this is the way our Vedic rishis encouraged us householders also, that do the rituals. Sure, ultimate goal is a freedom, but before that also, you can have the blessings through the process of meditation. You can have the boons. So in this particular section, we learned the psalm. What is a psalm? That's a vital force. And the knowledge of this vital force, he really put that knowledge and the vital force, the power of the vital force, the prana, to a very high level. He says the same vital force can destroy the evils of attachment of the senses with their objects, and all the defects can be removed. So this vital force is again the restorer of divinity and partaker of food in all bodies. He is the YSA Angiras. He called this vital force Brihaspati. He called this vital force in this section Brahmanaspati, Udgit, Sam. So all these different words he used, these different terms, they are for that pran. So do not get confused. And he said this is pervading all over. So this vital force is indeed the chant of Saman in the correct articulation. It has as its support the throat and other parts of the body. It is present in all bodies. That's also we learned when he gave us the examples of the ants and the elephants in the universe. It's everywhere. So it is present in all bodies, whether those bodies are big or small, low or high, wherever they are. Those could be finite or infinite. This vital force, the pran, and that's what the udgit is. So now next week we will start with section number 4. Okay, so let's stop the class here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om.